Hey, I'm Micki,
And I'm Kat.
and we're Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to the new moon in Cancer.
New moon in Cancer.
And
Square, Neptune and Saturn.
yeah,
Sextile Mars.
yeah, we got some stuff going on. We can feel it in the air. I keep breaking
Mm,
things. There's an ease of breaking things.
yeah, yeah.
But Mars in Virgo is an interesting placement because,
Yeah.
in some sense, you know, Mars can be really focused and pinpointing. I mean, I kind of think of like citing something, it can
Yeah.
be really pinpointing. And Virgo, of course, is really meticulous and particular. So there are good things it can be used for, like, doing very meticulous activities.
I am going to need to be using it for decluttering.
Decluttering. Yes. I'm going to use it for editing.
Ah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We
it
do
can
need
be
to cut
used
out.
obviously for bad things, like bombing,
Right.
but
Just
there are good things it can be used for.
yeah.
Yeah. So in our normal lives, we're going to hopefully be using it for, not coming up with that pithy statement to really devastate somebody, but instead um, for something that we want to pinpoint and focus on in our lives.
Yeah. Maybe something you need to clear out.
Exactly. Good for
Mhm.
cutting away the dross.
Right.
Let's take a look at it. Here it is. Here she is. How's that? Is that big enough?
Yes, I can see.
So, yeah, we've got a very close conjunction with Jupiter.
Hmm.
So, whatever's going on here has got a magnifying glass on it.
Hmm.
So there's a huge what's happening here. I think it's interesting that we've got a big trine to Black Moon
Oh, I didn't even see that.
because what we're putting a magnifying glass on is clearly something that has isn't clear to us. Maybe we need that magnifying glass because we don't really get it.
Hmm.
And of course, it's got a sextile to um, Mars, and so there's a minor trine here, even though it's a large separation between Mars and Black Moon, but there's a
Hmm.
forming minor trine there between these three. So there's something big that is outside of our vision that we're trying to get a look at that has to do with how we're going to use our energy.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's still connected to that square of Saturn and Neptune where we're like struggling with illusions and disillusions from our illusions and getting clearer views or distorted views depending on the structures of things.
Yeah.
Maybe we're trying to distort our view of the structure of things, but it's not working or
Yeah, that's really interesting. I really like that. We're trying to turn a corner, and if
Mhm.
our view is distorted, then we may not be taking the right action we need to actually turn the corner.
Mhm.
And there's something we can't really see because Black
Mhm.
Moon is, casting some is having ease in a trine to you know I don't know if it's let me back this up a second. Because we have a trine with Black Moon, does that mean that what is normally very difficult for us to see and hidden and subconscious, does that mean it's easier to see and that magnifying glass brings it into focus?
Maybe. Or is it not because it's the new moon and things are obscured?
Yeah, I'm wondering if what we're bringing into focus isn't so completely distorted,
Hmm.
and that the Neptune Black Moon are both giving us, um, there's a similar meaning here. We're getting it from different directions. As we've noticed a lot of times when we take apart the
Mm.
chart, the same message is in different places.
Right. I think when we look at the symbols, we'll get some clarity.
Yeah, yeah. So there's something really interesting here. And of course, then Mercury is heavily activated. It's
Uh-huh.
opposite, Pluto, but not by
Uh-huh.
sign. It's not by
Okay.
sign. But there it is also in
But it
a
is square
sextile
Chiron.
with Uranus. So there's something about speech being explosive or,
Let's see what 28 Cancer is.
yeah, that's a good idea.
We're looking at Mercury. A Greek muse weighing newborn twins in golden scales.
Read again.
A Greek muse weighing newborn twins in golden scales.
Interesting. The Golden Twins were in Gemini.
Uh, this is Cancer.
Newborns. Yeah, this is newborns. We're, at a new moon.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer is the sign of the home, caring for children.
We've got two rogue states bombing countries and other around the world.
Yeah, we have these twins, weighing the twins. Yeah, very interesting.
Hmm.
So what about our let's look at the next intersection with
Well, let's
Mercury.
look at Chiron real quick since we were talking about.
Okay.
Okay,
Chiron
Aries.
is the next intersection. It is the square
Yeah,
with Mercury.
it's the square with Mercury. 26, Aries. Through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained.
Ooh, I like that. One more time.
Through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. We know we need
Very nice.
creativity right now
Uh-huh.
in these trying times. We need different ways of being and moving through the world.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's very helpful for us. And again, it's something that we're discussing. It's something that's part of maybe a family or a home related discussion, cancer, a discussion about how to protect ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so you've got Aries and Aries being the individual and Cancer being the home life. And so you've got maybe it's addressing these kinds of conflicts about individualism versus collectivism, which is actually what our sign is for the new moon.
Exactly. Let's hear that.
At a railroad crossing, so at a crossroads,
Uh,
at a railroad crossing, an automobile is wrecked by a train.
Say again.
At a railroad crossing, an automobile is wrecked by a train.
Holy cow, I don't like that.
Well, I do in the sense of like collectivism versus individualism,
Hmm.
car culture versus mass transit.
So this is in relation to the Saturn square
Mm-hmm.
with our Jupiter, Sun, Moon.
Right.
So whatever the sun and moon is doing, it's magnified, it's bigger because it's got Jupiter on it. So even though
Right.
Jupiter's a benefic, and even though Jupiter can be trusted to lend um, assistance, Jupiter also blows things out of proportion.
Right. Can overdo it into absurdity and ridiculousness.
My concern is here with the square, we have a high dose of illusion and melancholy
Mm.
that's being blown out of proportion and impacting the way we're trying to make decisions for a new future,
Mm-hmm.
both in our personal and our collective lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to think about, I mean, for me personally, I want to think about, okay, well, what's spotlighted here in the cancer area, and how is it being perhaps confused, or stopped even by what's going on in the Aries house.
Mm-hmm. And it's a crossroads, and how are you going to turn the corner?
It's a crossroads. So now that I've said that to myself, I instantly know what it is in my personal life.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to do? What's the big thing you're trying to send off into being in the new future? And what is it that's weighing you down and preventing you, and also causing confusion or making other people confused about what you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to that. However, there is a motivational energy with, with the sextile to Mars.
Yeah.
So even if you're deluded and somebody's trying to stop you, you might be super motivated to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Oh,
think
interesting.
I'd want to give a recommendation because of the Black Moon's placement, prominent placement in this,
Yeah.
would be to, you know, be careful and take a good hard look at, what might be the confusion.
Let's see what the black moon is. That's Scorpio, yes.
Mhm.
Scorpio 10.
Scorpio 10.
Ooh, a drowning man is being rescued.
Oh, I like that.
Hmm. That is good.
Yeah. Mars energy being used at a new moon juncture to rescue someone who's drowning, of course, makes me think of Neptune
Mm.
because of the wateriness of it and the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
What's our Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries?
Neptune and Saturn are still in that place where they were before, where Saturn is the entertainer, the comedian entertaining the group, and then Neptune is the imagery of the profile of a man and a cameo inside the outline of the boundaries of the nation. So it's like a nationalism degree.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that could fit.
So it's the entertainer and nationalism.
Yeah. Yeah. Inside the nation. So yeah, showing what we're what's being highlighted in a big way. And again, on the national scale, but not just our national scale. We have this around in many different places.
Right.
Um,
But it's pointing to Mars and the drowning man.
right.
So Mars is, this is like my favorite degree of the zodiac, a man becoming aware of nature spirits and unseen spiritual energies.
That's 4 degrees.
Yeah.
That's 4 degrees Virgo.
Yeah.
Read that one more time, please.
A man becoming aware of nature spirits and unseen spiritual energies.
That's interesting. Uh-huh.
That's
Now,
that collective that we need to be more aware of.
right,
That individual versus the collective, like how much of our struggles of like postmodern late stage capitalism are because we only give a shit about humanity and not even all of them.
right.
We can't
Exactly.
we can't pay attention to the collective. We refuse to pay attention to the collective, and that is drowning us. We are drowning in the individualism.
Yeah. The collective includes the all.
It does.
Yes. Which includes the plants
And the unseen spirits.
and the unseen spirits. Yeah, I'm real curious about Uranus is not involved in
Mhm.
this, even though I've heard other astrologers talk about it, and you have too. It's not square by sign with Mars.
Mhm.
It's in a it. I don't think that this was the trigger personally. Um, there is an ease with Mars. When there's
Mhm.
an ease with Mars, that doesn't necessarily mean good things happen. It's a malefic. There may be an
Mhm.
ease to do bad things.
Mhm.
However, I don't see this as the volatility of Uranus involved with Mars because it's separated by sign.
Right.
I'm more interested in the healing communication between Chiron and Mercury.
And also
Because,
then there's the sextile with Uranus. Yeah?
right, right. You mean the sextile with Uranus and Saturn?
No, Uranus and Mercury.
Or yeah, and Uranus and Mercury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Chiron, I mean, Chiron healing words may not be happening because that's a square.
Mm.
But there's an ease towards Uranus maybe making somebody going, well, fuck you, or, right? Uranus has people act out.
Mm-hmm.
So, the communication could get out of control. There's an ease potentially for communication to get out of control. And the healing words are not positively impacted.
Now, 29 Taurus, a peacock parading on the terrace of an old castle.
Oh no, that is too real. Somebody is hung up in an ego,
Yeah, yeah, right?
right? And make sure it's not you, right? Because
And the
this stuff
castle's
translates to the
old,
personal.
right? There's
Say
some
again?
old shit they're clinging to. You got to cut it out. Let it go.
Yeah.
The old castle.
So where is that, you know, where's the challenge with communicating and healing, and how can you bridge that?
I
I mean,
think
that
the
might be
and
something to look.
the I think the peacock and the cameo need to be questioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the big elephant in the room, I really think, is still the Mars, or sorry, the Saturn Neptune conjunction, which it's going to happen for so long that we will figure out what it means both in our life personally and collectively, because
Yeah,
it's a very long-term transit.
right.
And
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously restructuring and accounting for the propaganda, which isn't just collective, there's also stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and
right,
other people in our lives. Especially since it's in Aries, it probably has a lot to do with the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves.
exactly. And the new moon and the way that it's in aspect to Aries, as these two begin their transit through Aries, which is going to be there for again a long time. It heralds something that new is happening, but it's going to get a revision. So
Uh-huh.
if we're thinking, oh, I don't like the way this is going, this is not the direction I want to head in, Saturn and Neptune are going to retrograde, go back into Pisces again,
Mm,
triggering all those things again, and then back through and triggering them again as it comes again to form
hmm.
again. And so where we're at now with whatever's happening personally and collective is not where we're going to be in February of 2026 when these conjunct.
Right,
Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries for reals.
right,
Then we're going to see how this actually all played out. So in my mind, this is still the forming where we have an opportunity to act.
right, right.
So if we look at whatever's going on personally and collectively, and we're like, oh, I don't want to go there, there's an opportunity here to change the way we're talking about it, change the spotlight we put on it. Maybe we want to back off on that spotlight, right? Um,
Mhm.
take a look more at how Chiron can uh, provide healing words, and let's take a look at Venus, because I know Venus is not in aspect, but Venus is conjunct by sign with Uranus, so it's definitely having an impact on whatever changes are coming.
19 Taurus. Wisps of clouds like wings are streaming across the sky.
Do 22 because it's almost 20 at 58.
Moving finger points to significant passages in a book.
Mm. Say one more time.
Moving finger points to significant passages in a book.
That makes me think of the fact that the areas of the world that are having the Middle East
Mhm.
all uses the same text.
What do you mean?
I mean, the Quran and the Torah and the Bible's Old Testament are
Yeah.
the same book.
How so?
You don't know this?
No, the Quran was written by Muhammad.
It's based on the Old Testament.
Yeah, but they're like in a line with each other. I don't know that any, I've never heard anyone call them the same book.
Uh, Arabic roots, both text features stories and figures like Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. They emphasize the concept of monotheism. The Quran and the Old Testament several share a lot of similarities based on these key figures.
Yeah,
They
because
all
they're all from the
worship.
same area.
They're based on the same texts and the same authors. The
They're
authors that wrote about Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. You don't find those people in China.
no,
That's
because they're all from that same area. What are you getting at?
the fact that those three books come from the same sources.
Yeah,
It's
because for people
I've
who live
known
in the
this.
same
I
areas,
studied
they're
religion
like
under.
they're culturally
I studied
similar.
religion under Minner at KU.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're
So
all from
a
Semitic
couple of
people.
semesters of religious studies. That's how I know that those three books have relevant uh, resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you believe that it was written actually by Muhammad, then my words are considered heretic, right? But if you don't believe that the book was written either by any god, then you look back at the historical sources of it and you see they're writing about the same people at the same time, and of course, as you say, the same place with the same
Yeah.
sources.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's how culture works.
So the point being is that these people are fighting about the same thing. It's not like the the Celts, the people who believe in fairies and Tuatha De Danann are fighting with the Chinese. People who have the same religious beliefs are fighting with
Oh,
each other.
well. Yeah, but that's just a cover story for resource extraction.
They've been doing it for a very long time. I don't
I
think
know.
it's always resource extraction in the same way, but I don't know. I'm
It's
not an
always been
expert on
resource
this area of the
extraction.
world.
All
I
wars are
think if
fought for
I think
resource
if I
extraction.
knew how to solve this problem, I would offer this up, and I don't think at this point anybody knows how to solve this problem. So I don't think there's any simple solution to this.
You know,
But
the simple solution is that
and
we
I'm going
stop
to back
building,
away from the whole conversation right now because I bet there's listeners that know way more than me. So I'm
we
stopping.
we
You be the
stop
expert, not me. I'm not an expert. I don't know anything.
I think the answer is we stop building bombs. Simple answer.
They were fighting before there were bombs. There were no
No.
bombs when this
Okay,
war
yeah,
started.
we should stop because I disagree with your historical perspective.
Yeah, there were no bombs when this war started. This has
I
been
think
going on
what
for a very
you're
long time.
saying is a lot of propaganda to justify the way that the West has continually invaded that part of the world. But there's a long history of people getting along in that part of the world too, that gets glossed over and pretended like it doesn't exist. But it does. The oldest like one of the oldest Jewish populations in that region is in Iran. Jewish people are safe in Iran.
Yeah,
That's a
there's
fact.
Jewish people all over the world, including
Yeah,
Ireland and China.
yeah, of course, of
Right.
course.
That's right. Anyway, what else do we have to say about this moon?
Okay, what are we missing? Did we looked up Venus? We didn't say Jupiter.
Well,
Jupiter,
Jupiter is conjunct. Yeah, what
yeah,
is Jupiter at 3 degrees? It's almost 4.
a cat arguing with a mouse.
See, there we go. I'm going to eat you after I beat you to death.
As we argue about our limited knowledge of the Middle Eastern history,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
otherwise known as Southwest Asia.
Yeah, I do not claim to be an expert at this. These are peoples and cultures that have long, long histories. I'm a linguist and an
Yeah.
anthropologist.
Yeah.
And even as a linguist and an anthropologist, because I'm a linguist and an anthropologist, I will tell you, I know nothing. I know
Mm.
nothing about this. Whatever I know is so small compared to the people who are the experts that I recommend listening to those people who have studied these areas for a long time, particularly
Yes, I have
people who
studied
are
for a long
from the
time.
areas, the
Yeah.
people who are the experts who are
Yeah.
from those areas. That's who I think everybody should listen to.
Whereas I am quite well informed on the history of US empire and other European empires, and I know quite well the way they talk about people they want to destroy and
Right?
the lies that they make up
Yeah.
and the stories that they tell. So keep, I guess for this new moon is keep an eye out for just continue to be disillusioned and break free from the lies that have kept us all in this terrible state of hyper individualism. And let's move towards a collective view of recognizing and respecting nature spirits and unknown energies. It's fine.
I like looking at the nature spirits. I think that's really helpful for us to get away from the intellect
Hmm.
at certain times when the intellect can't solve the problems.
Hmm.
And those times are particularly evident when you have people completely opposed, right?
Hmm.
And those oppositions are ingrained and emotional, and usually have to do with again long-term memory stuff we don't even know we learned from our parents or grandparents, or shit, it could be genetic memory.
Right.
And to pull away from that and go to, like you said, the nature spirits, find a place in nature, take off your shoes, put your feet on the ground, and
Hmm.
do a little self meditation, a little self healing, particularly during these times when the negative energy is so heightened.
Hmm.
There are those that desire to see us divided.
Yeah.
And these divisions, I heard somebody talk about this recently. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was that was talking about it, but they were talking about how we are so personally impacted by these divisions, and we don't even realize how it makes us so stressed out. And especially because, we can't solve the problems in the Middle East individually,
Or collectively, that's not our place.
but we can't ignore what's going on in the world. So how do we find a way where the peace within actually can help become the peace without?
Hmm.
Because if we're all freaked out and we're all focused on the divisions, well, then we're just contributing to the overall hatred that's going on.
Right.
And instead, we've got to find a way where we can ground ourselves, ground our spirits, center ourselves, and find love
Hmm.
within.
Yeah.
Because if
But
you
I
can
think
find that love within, find a nature spirit to help you find that love within and
Mhm.
put it out, that's going to help with the healing overall. But I don't think this is going to be a good healing time. I'd say hang on, and we're going to get to a better place in the future,
Yeah, hopefully.
hopefully.
Keep it on the with the imagination. Imagine the better future.
Yeah. Imagine the better future. I like that a lot.
Through imagination, our lost opportunities are regained.
Did you do Venus?
We did say it, but we didn't really understand it. It was the wisp of clouds like wings streaming across the sky.
And what was the next one? The 20.
The moving finger pointing to significant passages in a book.
Ah. Mm.
I think it has more to do, it's the wispy clouds of like Venus isn't really here right now. It's not going to be a healing, lovey thing. It's
Yeah. If we can't grasp it, it's not graspable somehow.
right. That's
Right.
that black thing again.
Yeah. Anyway, hang in there. Hang in through
Yeah.
this moon. Try and set intentions that are healing for yourself and for others. I think that's a good
Yeah.
place.
For yourself and for others. Don't forget the for others.
Yeah.
Because that automobile is going to get decimated by the train. Collectivism.
We need the collectivism.
Mhm.
Yep. Love in your heart, guys. Bye. See you at the full moon.